we just got word a little over an hour ago that at the very least Trump is musing about reducing the tariffs on China. He's saying that he might be willing to bring down the rate from 145%, which is effectively an embargo, let's be real.
Right, exactly.
To 80%, which is frankly still kind of an embargo. Reecie, what should we make of all of this? Will this even spare the small business sector, or are we're still just as doomed as we were?
We're just as doomed. Listen, even 10% is high tariffs. Now, there are historically, what has happened is there have been different tariff percentages on different products because the whole purpose of tariffs is to shore up certain industries, to make sure that the United States is not at a competitive disadvantage because it's so much dirt cheaper to make goods other places. And so certain industries, we want to make sure that we're making goods in America, but other industries, we don't have the capacity nor the desire to make those goods. And so to just put blanket tariffs on countries without being industry specific is damaging, as we've seen in terms of different layoffs that are happening in the United States, by the way, in terms of the stock market, in terms of the treasury market. Everything is saying this is bad policy. So I'm personally one of those small businesses. I have a manufacturer in China. And so the difference in costs are astronomical compared to when I bought my same goods in the Biden-Harris administration. So 80%, people have to understand, is 80% is on top. So that's still practically doubling the cost of goods coming from China. So I have a manufacturer, so it's doubling my cost, not necessarily the retail price. But if people are buying from Temu or from TikTok, because TikTok got a lot of Chinese retailers, it might be, people who are influencers selling it. But people who are buying directly from Chinese retailers, they're going to pay 80% on top of the retail price. And so this is really, really damaging in every way possible. The fact that he's doing this kind of like musing about what the tariffs will be is something that just doesn't instill confidence. So that's another part of the problem.
Yeah, Nikki, what do you think's going on here? Is it finally Scott Bessent shaking some sense into Trump? Is it, I don't know, Peter Navarro is homesick and he hasn't been able to whisper in Trump's ear for a day or two? What's happening?
We can only hope. Yeah, David Navarro and Ron Barrett could just please step aside. I think it could be a number of things. We know that Trump takes his approval rating to heart. Mm-hmm. He needs to feel like he is worshipped. And his numbers have been going down. Mm-hmm. That's an objective fact. And I do think that there was this expectation from the Trump administration that they were going to put these tariffs on, and China was immediately going to be knocking on their door, being like, please, 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 let's figure something out. And that just didn't happen. Mm-hmm. And I mean, they have no reason to. It doesn't matter. So I think that they're realizing that China's not going to bend. Mm-hmm. So there's this walk back. And I think we've seen this with Trump a lot. This whole like, do something insane. When it doesn't work out, walk it back, walk it back, walk it back till it's almost back to where it was, but slightly worse, and then declare it a win.
Yeah.
Something. And I feel like that's what we're going to see happen here.
Yeah, I think what Trump doesn't quite appreciate is how low Americans' tolerance for pain, tolerance for discomfort is.
Right.
You know, back in 2020, the government asked people to just stay in their homes for 6 weeks, watch some TV, throw on the Hallmark Channel, and we all collectively lost our fucking minds.
Yeah.
So the idea that we're now for like a year or more just going to obliterate an entire sector of our economy, I don't think people are going to be down with that. But Reecie, I want to talk about $30. I want to talk about $30 becoming $3. I want to talk about 250 pencils becoming 5 pencils. I'm obviously referring to the now infamous clip, 2 clips actually. He's really obsessed with $30 that Trump uttered earlier this week. J.D. Vance just killed DePope Vance. Now has sort of expanded on this $30 cinematic universe with a clip of his own. Andy, can we play that, please?
The president said, maybe American kids should have $3 instead of 30 or whatever the number was. Do you agree do you tell the people of this country that you need to make some sacrifices in order to reorganize this bad trade relationship?
Well, I think the president's point here is that, yeah, we do need to become more self-reliant, and that's not going to happen overnight, and it's not always going to be easy, Martha. But what I'd ask people is not whether they want $2 or $5 or $20 for their kids. I'd ask American moms and dads, would you like to be able to go into a pharmacy and know that the drugs your kids need are actually available to you as an American parent? Would you like to, God forbid, if your country goes to a war and your son or daughter is sent off to fight, would you like to know that the weapons that they have are good American-made stuff, not made by a foreign adversary? What President Trump is talking about is bringing self-reliance back to the United States economy. We have
So, Reecie, I don't think the comms people were involved in workshopping that answer, because your kid can only have 3 dolls because we need to be able to send them to war.
Right.
Not a winning message, not necessarily one that inspires confidence.
No, definitely not. And let me just fact check JD Vance. He should know damn well that we have something called the Defense Federal Acquisitions Regulations. It's the DFARS. We do not import weapons. Okay. There might be a small like piece of wire or cable or something, or a chip that comes from overseas, but defense contractors in America make a shit ton of money manufacturing things in America. So that's already false. This administration is the one trying to put tariffs on pharmaceuticals and raise the price of pharmaceuticals, which is going to make it harder to access prescription drugs when people need it. So there's also that. But look, I'm a mom. I have a 4-year-old, okay? If she has plenty of dolls, she probably doesn't need more dolls. But guess what? I don't want to pay $50 for the dolls that I'm getting for her. I can go on Amazon. Okay, what you want? It's $10. Boom. We done. You know what I'm saying? So the idea that it's parents that need to moderate as opposed to Donald Trump needs to stop fucking up the economy, that's what it is. And guess what? To your point earlier, Americans don't vote for pain. Americans don't vote for sacrifice. Americans don't vote for less. We vote because apparently all of the gains, the millions of jobs that were gained under the last administration, all the people who got health care, the little bit of student loan relief that happened, and all of the other things that happened weren't enough because Americans always want more, more, more. So I don't understand how they could possibly think that the message of less, less, less is going to actually work in their favor.
Nikki, we talked about this in a couple of editorial calls this week. I believe that Trump fundamentally does not understand why he won the election. Right.
Mhm.
There are a lot of factors. There's racism, of course. There's sexism, of course. There was the Gaza war, of course. But I think the core reason was global inflationary forces and the cost of living, right? It's the fact that people were not able to buy as much stuff as they used to.
Yep.
That is, I think, the chief reason why he's sitting in the Oval. And he doesn't get that. He's like, fuck the prices. You know, Americans can now live with $3 instead of $30.
He
What do you
essentially
think of
thinks that he's the king, that he's been given this mandate. He keeps saying that we won by a landslide. They didn't. And that he has this mandate to basically do anything he wants, which is absurd because I also think he fundamentally does not understand how, like, the value of $1 and how tariffs work. Like, you have to keep in mind, these people are billionaires. So to him, when someone says, hey, this thing is going to be, that used to be $100, is now going to be $300. To these people, okay, that's nothing. They don't see it. They're never going to feel it. So I think that it's just a matter of like, just deal with it for a little while. We're doing this thing. We're going to make America great again because he's obsessed with McKinley. But no, he fundamentally does not understand why he's in there and how this works, how any of these policies or tariffs actually work.
It reminds me of the Arrested Development quote from Lucille Bluth. It's a banana, Michael. What could it cost? $10?
$10.
But can I also say, though, that like you can't gaslight people on prices. So, Peter, to your point, I'm one of the people who, like you, I believe that fundamentally, yes, the trans issue, yes, the immigration issue, yes, racism and sexism were issues, but people were feeling the pinch from the higher prices. And you can't gaslight your way out of that. And if you're explaining, you're losing. And so even though the last administration did so much and we had less inflation than the everybody else around the globe, it wasn't enough for a lot of people to either get their ass off the couch or to decide to stay the course. And so this idea that they can just say, like Trump could say, well, everything is down, the price of everything is down. No, the hell it's not. A McDonald's 6-piece chicken nugget meal I went the other day was $8. I was like, what the when did it was $4.50 in January. Now it's $8. Okay. And there were some chicken nugget truthers because the MAGA people did not like me saying that the chicken McNuggets was $7. But I had the receipts. I'm recent with the receipts. So you can't gaslight your way out of what it costs people to live in this country. And so there are still some people that are hanging on like, oh, well, it's only temporary. No, we could potentially be seeing a permanent or at least long-term realignment of where the prices are going to be in a way that is not going to bode well for Republicans. I can tell you that.
Yeah, I love that point. Someone in the chat was fact checking me and saying that misinformation was one of the chief reasons Trump also won, and that's true.
It's true.
Oh, 100%.
But to Reese's point, you can't misinform folks about prices. That's one area where you can't lie to them, you can't gaslight them because they see the sticker shock.
Yeah,
I
Nikki?
agree with that, but I also have one counterpoint. So I do think that, yes, they're going to see the prices go up. But some of these MAGA voters it's almost cult-like in their worship of Donald Trump. And I feel like they'll see the prices going up, but they will somehow, in their minds, twist this to being like, but this is Biden's fault, or this is Hillary's fault, or Obama did this. Because, like, they can't, they refuse to put the blame on Donald Trump. I'm just, and I know I'm speaking kind of anecdotally from some very hardcore MAGA people that are in my family, that it feels like even facts, even things that they are seeing with their own eyes, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It can't be him. It's not him. It's Biden. Biden did this somehow.
But can I just say though, we don't need MAGA to have a come to Jesus moment.
That's true.
The Republicans won the House from 7,000 votes in 3 districts. That's it. 7,000 votes determined out of, I believe it was 70 something million votes cast. 7,000 votes determined the balance of the House. And so all you need is a couple thousand here, a couple thousand there, and boom, that makes the difference. Now, obviously, there's a lot more work in the Senate, and obviously Donald Trump ain't going nowhere. But we have seen a lot of cases where the lady who was just at the White House the other day, small business, was talking about, please do something about these tariffs. I think that people they think, a lot of MAGA people still think that they can appeal to Donald Trump and say, well, I voted for you. You don't want to hurt my business, right? We're seeing a lot of that. So I agree that there's just a part of MAGA that's immovable, doesn't matter. But we're seeing in the ratings and the polling that there are some people that are like, ooh, even the billionaires that was all on board because they was getting their tax cuts. Now they're like, whoa, slow down, man. This is crazy.
It is fascinating.
That is a good point. That basically what we need is the independents and the more swing Republicans.
The bulwark Republicans.
The bulwark Republicans, exactly. Your more constitutionalist Republicans.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we need to like have that come to Jesus moment where they see.
We just really 89 million people don't vote. Last election. That was not all Republicans. That was actually, matter of fact, the data shows that a good portion of that was Democrats. I mean, there were 8 or 9 million fewer votes for Democrats in this last election. So there's a massive pool of people out there that are not cultists. They aren't like, oh, super in love with Trump. They just felt like, well, what's in it for me? I don't know why I need to vote. It doesn't make a difference for me. And now, at least because of that pain, Peter, they're gonna say, well, shit, at least defense. Okay. Maybe I won't get better, but I won't be that much worse off if I at least make sure that these people aren't in charge.
It is stunning the extent to which people can delude themselves into thinking that the leopard is never going to eat their face. It ate Bob's face, it ate Nancy's face, it ate my mom's face, but it's not going to eat my face. Never.
Yeah.
Let's circle back to the $30 for just a minute, because there's a clip of Trump in the Oval, either yesterday or perhaps a little earlier this week. It's been making the rounds. Trump popping off at Mattel. Apparently, the country of Mattel, not the company, the country.
Mattel, I don't know. I'm not so sure. They also said they're the only country I've heard. They said, well, we're going to go counter. We're going to try going someplace else. That's okay. Let him go, and we'll put 100% tariff on his toys, and he won't sell one toy in the United States, and that's their biggest market. I heard that. I mean, I watched this guy talking about how I'm going to go counter. I said, well, I wouldn't want to have him as an executive too long.
Okay, so I'm of two minds about this, Reecie, because on the one hand, Donald Trump is absolutely stupid enough to believe that there's a country out there called Mattel.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
However, there's been an interesting Freudian slip that he's made a few times over the past couple of months, where when he's talking about the United States, he doesn't call us a country, he calls us a company. He says, we are the biggest, strongest company on the face of the planet. So what do you think's going on here? Is it just a Freudian slip, or is he truly as stupid as we think he is?
Well, he's definitely a dumbass. But I'm trying to rack my brain, like, okay, what are some M countries that he could have been to be like, okay, is he thinking of an M country, but then he's also thinking of Mattel? Like, I don't even know how the fact that Joe Biden got all the bad rap around his mental cognitive abilities when this guy has been doing word salad saying stupid shit for years. But I thought that the whole point of the tariffs was to keep American companies in America. So somebody needs to give him the memo that Mattel is an American company. You cannot tariff America. Okay, that ain't how it works. We don't. That's called taxes. That's called corporate tax. It's called income tax. It's called sales taxes. Now, this tariffs is a tax that we pay, but you can't put a tariff on America, Donald Trump. So there's so many lessons that obviously this man is unhinged about. But the problem with him as well is that he takes this personal. He thinks that negotiations in which obviously every country and corporation wants to operate in their best interest is an affront to him because he thinks that he's ruler of the universe. And no, it's business, it's survival, and it's trying to position themselves appropriately. And so if every time he feels slighted, then now he's going to react in this rash manner, we're in for a long haul, and it's only going to be to our detriment. I don't give a damn if people don't like Donald Trump, if they don't like Elon Musk, if they're not buying Starlink, if they're not buying Trump steaks or whatever he's hawking these days. The country needs to be in a position where we're improving our economy, and where if all you care about is companies, then position them in a way for success, not for what's going to be coming: product shortages, price increases, and layoffs.
Thanks everyone for watching. Your support means the world to us. So make sure you hit the like button and you subscribe to our channel to make sure that you never ever miss a video. We're live every day, 10 a.m. Eastern time. We drop even more content at 2 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Eastern. And if you want more Don Lemon Show content, we'd love for you to become a member of the Lemon community, where you will receive access to special community posts. You'll get exclusive content and members-only live shows. So head over to our channel page or click the join button on this video. Again, thank you for watching. We appreciate your love and your support, and we will see you next time.